Welcome, everyone. Hope everybody's doing okay. Yeah, I haven't been streaming all day. Welcome to Logic, Sharon T. Um, and Toast. Welcome. It's good to see you. Um, yeah, I haven't been live all day just because I knew uh we were going to be waiting to some degree. And full disclosure, I think I have a sinus infection. Uh, my bridge of my nose feels 100 times bigger than it is. And yeah, so so I was like, I'll go live when I have to go live. Um, so um now this verdict, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. One of the reasons why we thought the verdict was going to come in so quickly was because we believe Letitia to be guilty. Period. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a guilty verdict. You don't get you don't get a day and a half of deliberation, um, and not even really, like, if you think of the total, because this jury was not sequestered, so they didn't spend the weekend deliberating. They deliberated for about half the day, so basically a full day. So they deliberated about half the day on Friday. They went home. Here we are Monday, and over there it's lunchtime. So in Mountain Time right now, it is 1 o'clock. It's 1:15. So it's just past lunchtime. Um, so this is a very fast verdict, very quick verdict. And normally when we see verdicts like this, thank you, Cherry. Appreciate that. Um, Usually when a verdict is this quick, it's a guilty verdict. Um, there, there has to be. We're talking about basically that they reviewed all of the evidence. A lot of people are thinking, "What's taking so long? What's taking so long?" But um, considering the questions that this jury was asking, which I love, considering the questions that they were asking, this indicates to me that this is a jury who's taking their jobs very seriously. They don't want to send somebody who needs help to prison, but you have to understand this is the first time they've been able to review all of the evidence themselves. The trial was for the prosecution to present the evidence to them. The deliberation is for them to review the evidence and then discuss. The evidence, as we've all known, has been overwhelming, and her defense, even though it's on the prosecution to prove their case, the defense's only defense was resting on Dr. Lewis's testimony, which just failed. It was an absolute farce. So, Maxie, what's up, buddy? It's good to see you, man. Haven't seen you in a while. USAF Monica says, just wanted to say thanks for all your great coverage. I've enjoyed spending 4 days a week with you and your community. Look forward to the next. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And it really means a lot to me. Those of you who have chosen this channel to watch and follow this trial. As you guys know, this is a trial that's been very personal to me. I've been waiting for this trial since 2020, and we've covered a few trials since then, but this is the one that I yeah, I was extremely I don't know what it was about this case, but it really got the best of me. Mexi knows this. Um this is the case that really hit home since I've started on YouTube. And yeah, so I believe that we are going to see justice today. Um and you got to understand, we'll discuss a little bit beforehand, but um people are debating whether or not Letitia will either be sent to prison or sent to a hospital for the rest of her life. Prison for the rest of her life or a hospital for the rest of her life. Well, if you remember Judge Warner giving the jury instructions, he was saying that if she's found not guilty by reason of insanity, then what's going to end up happening is that she is going to be um, she's going to be given custody to she's going to be the state is basically going to be taking custody of her. So kind of like I guess the Colorado version of CPS, more or less, not necessarily family services, but human services. And she's if she's if that's the case, what happens is a doctor, her psychiatrist, her number one mental health provider, um, and evaluator, the person that person is responsible for her, and they will determine whether or not she's sane enough to function in society again. Um, and that could never happen, and she could spend the rest of her life in prison, or she could be deemed perfectly sane in 5 years and let out, start another family. You know, I mean, that's that's how this works. Um, so people who are going, well, it doesn't matter if she goes to a hospital or no, it does matter because uh yeah, it does matter because it could very well mean that she is deemed healthy at some point and then gets to walk amongst us as another member as a member of society. um and those of us who have followed all of the evidence here don't believe that to be acceptable. um and I trust this jury. I think this jury, I don't think that this jury would come uh to such a quick decision if they thought that they might be letting a murderer out on the street, because there's, like I said, very little evidence, uh, if any at all, which I don't think there is. There's really no evidence of her being sick and needing help. Um, she had the opportunity to seek help. She never sought help. Um, the closing arguments, I thought both prosecutors did an excellent job uh, with their closing arguments and basically stating this fact. She was of sound mind to do all of these other things, but never to seek help because one of her personalities might be dangerous. Oracle Blend, thank you so much. Thank you for all you do. Justice for Gannon, thank you. Thank you for being here. I mean, when the evidence is as plain as day as it is, we're talking about recorded conversations. We're not just talking about witnesses who took the stand, who gave their opinions on Letitia. We're talking about people who did this based on other evidence that was presented while they were on the stand, phone calls, GPS trackings, all of these things. Uh, this is not someone who, yeah. So right now, at this point, we're just waiting. Um, and I am going to open up the phone lines after the fact because you never know. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a guilty verdict, but that's just me. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's going to be. Um, I don't think it's going to be a not guilty verdict. Katie, member for 2 months. Thank you for diligently covering this whole time. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay. Let me see something here. And I've got WebEx pulled up. So if it comes back, um, and despite what some people say, certain canceled people say, um, don't for 1 second feel like you're bad people. And this is just my opinion, but don't for 1 second. I know I'm not, but don't for 1 second think that you're bad people because you want a guilty verdict here. This little boy deserves justice. I don't feel in the slightest bit bad about wanting a guilty verdict and wanting justice to happen and whatever justice that may be. If it were a death penalty state and she gets sentenced to the death penalty, then so be it. If it's not a death penalty state and she gets sentenced to life in prison, so be it. As long as it's justice for this boy and as long as the parents, because again, this is just like information that law enforcement is to share with us or not share with us. It is not our place. What I want is justice for Landon. I want justice for Al. I want justice for every single loved one, Lena, every single loved one that Gannon had in his life that's going to look back on this and at least have a bright side to all of this. And if that bright side, as sad as it is, being that someone paid the price for what happened to this little boy, then so be it. Whatever they feel justice should be done, to me, that's justice. They're the ones that have earned the justice. They're the ones with the say. So, I mean, I know that goes both ways. I realize, some people are like pro death penalty, no death penalty. I don't care. I honestly, genuinely don't care if it's a death penalty state or not. Um, if it's not a death penalty state and the family feels that she deserves the death penalty, well then I feel bad for them that they didn't get what they wanted. But all that matters is whether or not they get justice. We're owed justice to a certain degree in the sense that we are citizens, we are members of the society, and we deserve justice when it comes to another member of society who is defenseless and can't speak for themselves. Too small, too young to defend themselves. But at the end of the day, that person's loved ones, Gannon's loved ones, are those who deserve justice here. So my prayers and hopes are with them today. And what we're waiting on, because make no mistake, the court feels this way too. So they are likely, Al, Landon are likely waiting at home because they live in the area and they're waiting at home and they're given the courtesy to be alerted that a verdict has been reached And so they are given time to be able to come to the courthouse and have this verdict read to them. So, one of the reasons why we're waiting, besides everything else that the judge said, one of those things is that Alan Landon deserved to be present for this verdict to be read. They've earned it, to say the least. Right, Gerda K, exactly. Well, let's explore that for a little bit too, because this doesn't have to be a total like hate on Letitia. I mean, if you guys feel that way, feel free. I don't care. What I'm saying though is some of y'all are thinking in terms of, you know, doesn't these don't these people have kids? How could they want Letitia to be found not guilty by reason of insanity? Maybe they're grandparents, you know? Maybe somebody is a grandparent who has a child who suffers from mental health issues. Excuse me. They have a child who suffers from mental health issues, and their grandchild has suffered from it. And maybe they just don't feel that there's, maybe they just feel like their kid can be helped for the sake of the betterment and of the well-being of their grandchild. You just my point being, you just never know what anybody's personal situation is and why their opinions might sway one way or the other. um we try to be empathetic here no matter what the situation is. I started off covering this case being empathetic towards Letitia herself because there was not any evidence. Yo Gal, welcome. And Oracle Blinn, welcome. I started off saying there's not enough evidence to indicate that Letitia actually did anything. That all changed when she was placed under arrest. But the thing is being somebody who's not smart in how to deal with social media, it doesn't make you a murderer. It doesn't make you someone who sold a kid. You know what I mean? Like, I keep seeing these posts of Don Wells acting a fool online, and again, I and he's throwing the N word around, and as much as it makes me go, man, what a fucking asshole. I still haven't gone, he must have done something to his daughter, because throwing the N word around doesn't make you a child murderer. No matter what your opinions of somebody is, of whatever their opinions are of humanity, you have to decide logically if that's going to weigh into whether or not they're capable of murdering their own child or selling their own child or whatever the fuck the rumors are flying around about Don Wells. I mean, I just, I listened to this rant, him screaming and yelling, and you know, yeah, I do. Do I have my opinions of Don Wells? Yes. And the thing is I'm only going to let you in on so many of those opinions, because at the same time, I've never had a child go missing. You know what I mean? I don't know what kind of mad shit I'd be engaged in, what kind of shit I'd be saying. I don't know. I mean, I like to think I'm not going to be throwing the N word around, but at the same time, you got this guy who's, and it's not an excuse, but we're talking about a guy who was probably brought up where that was just the way to talk in their house, as ignorant and as shitty as it is. but it doesn't make him somebody who did something to his daughter, you know? Yeah, I thought Deets on the Streets did a great stream at the end of last week. I think it was Saturday, as a matter of fact. She did a great stream um, in regards to what's happened to the Summer Wells case. You know, it's a shame. It's a shame. Uh, but my point, I guess, is I'm not going to let my personal opinions about somebody affect whether or not I decide if that person is capable of a crime that we don't even know took place. Just not going to do that. I'm not going to start doing that. I never have. Barbie Ogden, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Just 1 second, guys. I really want my coffee to make it or work right now. Yeah, for those of you who think that sentencing is going to happen today, it's not. I'll tell you that right now. It's not. Um, this judge is going to take his time. Uh, he's going to put together his thoughts. He's going to be very responsible. We're talking about a courtroom who behaved in a very professional manner for the most part. Um, and they were, I think it's safe to say that they're following the example of Judge Werner and how he's ran his courtroom. He treated everyone with respect, and he made sure things were thought through. He was listening to all the arguments, every objection. He made sound decisions on whether to sustain or overrule them. Um, he was very engaged in the entire trial, and I thought that he was excellent. Um, so I expect no less uh, of the professionalism that we've seen come from Judge Werner all this time. I'm expecting no less. So I'm sure he's going to put some thought into the sentencing. I'm sure he's going to consider all of the family and everybody. I'm hearing something come through, guys. 1 second. I heard some movement in the courtroom. So
I've been in reached verdicts in this case. Before I bring the jury in, I want to remind everybody of a couple of things. First of all, if you have a phone out, put it away, unless you are in this front row. In addition, I know that this is an emotional case. I get that. I understand that. Really, I do. But this jury has worked hard. So regardless of whether you agree with or don't agree with their verdict, you need to exercise appropriate decorum. So let's not have any emotional outbursts or anything like that. And I think we're good to go. Let's go ahead and bring the jury in. Now that I have you doing something else. Okay. All seem to be on.
sorry, guys. 1 second here.
Now that I have you doing something else. Okay. But they all seem to be on. It doesn't matter to me. I see it. So long as it's broadcasting, I just wanted to make sure that was not the issue. All rise for the jury, please. Thank you. You may all be seated. Court will recall 20 CR 1358, People versus Letitia Stout. Record should reflect the jury has returned to the courtroom. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I see that juror number 5, that would be you, has all the instructions and things like that. That's usually a tip-off to me that you might be the foreperson. Are you in fact the foreperson? And has the jury reached verdicts in this case? All right, if you would hand the instructions and the verdict forms to Mr. Sproul, please. Thank you. All right, the verdict forms do appear to be in proper order. I will have a question for you because there's some extra writing on here, but I think I understand what's going on. So with respect to count number 1, charge of murder in the first degree after deliberation, we, the jury, find the defendant, Letitia Stout, guilty of count number 1, murder in the first degree after deliberation.
Beautiful.
With respect to count number 2, charge of murder in the first degree, child under 12, by a person in a position of trust, we, the jury, find the defendant, Letitia Stout, guilty of count number 2, murder in the first degree, child under 12, position of trust. With respect to count number 3, charge of tampering with a deceased human body, we, the jury, find the defendant, Letitia Stout, guilty of count number 3, tampering with a deceased human body. With respect to count number 4, charge of tampering with physical evidence, we, the jury, find the defendant, Letitia Stout, guilty of count number 4, tampering with physical evidence. I wanted to ask the jury, or actually the foreperson, there's some extra writing on here with respect to question number 1. There's a cross through and some initials. And then on part B, there's also a cross through with initials. Was that signifying that you were not answering that and you intended to answer guilty as to that charge? Yes. All right. And is that what you intended with all of the other verdict forms? Yes. All right. With that, does either side wish to have the jury poll the prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, what this means is that this is a process that is sometimes requested by the attorneys following a verdict to make sure that everybody has agreed on all parts of it. So I'll go down the row, starting in the back. Juror number 1, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 2, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 3, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 4, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 5, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 6, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 7, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 8, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 9, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 10, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 11, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 12, is this and are these your verdicts? I want to thank all of you for your service. Jurors don't get a lot of training. However, you all were selected because you were willing to be open-minded and impartial, and were willing to make decisions based on the facts and the law. You, the jury, heard and saw the evidence. You paid attention all day, every day. Someone else may tell you they disagree with your verdict or some aspect of your service. They may want to express their opinion on the matter. However, we didn't ask them for any of their opinions.
Whew.
We asked you for your judgment. We asked you for your verdict based on the law and based on the evidence. Someone else may tell you they think they're better and smarter and more intuitive than all of you were. Ignore them. As a judge, rarely does a day go by that I don't make somebody in the courtroom mad. The fact that some people may disagree with your verdict or the law
I heard
only
that.
means that those who disagree with you were not carefully selected to be fair and impartial. They did not take an oath to follow the law and to judge all of the facts, and they see it differently from you because they didn't see it all from the perspective you did. And they did not discuss the facts with 11 others who were also fair and impartial and sworn to follow the law. You decided this case. This verdict is your verdict. And this is the verdict in the case. No poll, no approval or disapproval. and no press analysis changes that fact. This is the verdict in the case. The press or someone else at some point may wish to talk to you. We live in a world of exceptional voyeurism in reality TV, and this is about as real as it gets. They may try to dissect the evidence, your thought process, and your decision. It's a free country. Anyone can ask you anything about your verdict. You can answer if you choose. They can also, however, respect your privacy and allow you to contact them only if you want to talk to them. And if you don't want to, you don't have to talk to anyone about your verdict. If you do talk with someone, you can tell them as little or as much as you like. Someone may even ask you to give an affidavit regarding some aspect of your jury service. You're free to give an affidavit. You're free to decline to give an affidavit. That is a personal decision you are entitled to make. If anyone continues to talk to you after you have told them you do not want to speak about the matter or becomes critical of you or your jury service, please report that incident to me.
I'll
Again,
let
I
him
want
know.
to thank you very much for your service. Without honest people of our community serving on jurors, we cannot secure the right to a jury trial in this country. And it's a very valuable and a very important right. I want to leave you with some language from a case that was decided by the United States Supreme Court in Louisiana versus Duncan. In that case, an individual was denied the right to a jury by trial, or a trial by jury, sorry. And that case went all the way up to the United States Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court sent it back to the state of Louisiana. And it said, you need to give this man what the Constitution requires, which is a trial by jury. And when it sent the case back to Louisiana, it said, we believe that trial by jury is fundamental to the American scheme of justice. Trial by jury is more than an instrument of justice and more than one wheel of the Constitution. It is the lamp that shows that freedom lives. Without your dedication and sacrifice, that lamp would not shine as brightly as it does. So I truly thank you for your service. You are now discharged with the thanks of the court. And for the last time, all rise for the jury, please.
That judge was like, send them to me. Anybody gives you people shit, send them to me.
You may all be seated. I don't know how you want to proceed on sentencing. I do need to talk to the jury for a few minutes because I need to tell them some things about security issues, counseling issues, and things like that. So I do need to talk with them for a few minutes. I also didn't know if the family, the prosecution, anybody wanted to have some time to process the verdicts. I also understand that everybody's been here for 5 weeks, so I get that part too.
He's ready to sentence.
So I'm open to whatever you want to do with respect to sentencing, but I probably am going to need at least a half an hour with the jury.
What?
I think that would be appropriate, Judge. The people are
What?
obviously ready to go to immediate sentencing, I believe.
Wow. I was
And
wrong.
I can tell you that the family's been thinking about this day for over 3 years. They're ready to go to sentencing.
Hell yeah.
Okay, then give me about 30 minutes and we will come back and proceed to sentencing at that point in time.
Ooh. That's what I'm talking about right there. Dude, I can't believe he's going to sentence her today. Like, I mean, it makes sense. The way that he explained it was like, well, I mean, I'm ready to go. This family's been through enough. Now, if they need some time to process, we could process it. But I mean, it makes sense that he would be ready to handle the sentencing. He's probably prepared for whichever way it went. But I'm pretty sure he knew which way it was going to go. All right. So he says about 30 minutes before sentencing. Bro, look at her. Like, she just doesn't give a fuck. Like, just, bro, just look at that. She just doesn't really care. She's just kind of like, yo, up. No fucks given at all. Look at her. All right. So it looks like they're gonna stay live. 9 News. If anybody wants to call in, they can call in. Phone lines are open. I am more than willing to hear all of your opinions, thoughts, feelings. I know it's been a long road for a lot of us, and I know a lot of people are bursting with emotions at the moment. Phone lines are open, and you are free to express those emotions here if you like. That is entirely up to you. I mean, it's pretty much what I thought. I thought the defense wasn't going to have much to say anyway. They weren't going to have. I mean, the defense did not expect a different result. I don't think. I mean, they're attorneys. They expected to present their case a certain way. It didn't go the way that they expected. They had just a shred of what they could have. You know, they their entire defense hung on to Dr. Dorothy Lewis's testimony. And so you know what's funny, because I always compare everything to movies I watch, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with like the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy. I was watching Batman Begins last night, and the Scarecrow, right? He's I didn't realize it until following this case. It's just coincidence that I was watching this, and he's a psychiatrist. He's a psychiatrist, and like his character was notorious for like taking the stand and saying that bad criminals were crazy and they needed help and they needed to go to Arkham Asylum. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude, that's Dr. Lewis. It's Dr. Lewis. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Dude gets paid to sit up on the stand and say that somebody's crazy when they're not crazy. I was like, Dr. Lewis, look at you. Look at you. Still nobody wants to call? Nobody? Anybody? No? Nobody? Nobody? All right. I guess nobody wants to call. That's okay. Oh, wait. Oh, my goodness. 1 second.
All right.
Sorry. Give me 1 second. Here we go.
You're fine.
Who am I speaking with?
Crispy treat or sugar crisp.
What's up, Chris? Sugar, crisp, crispy,
Hi.
sugar, crispy. What's up?
Oh my God, I can't believe he's gonna sentence today. I've never seen that before when it's been a long trial and it's been, a long one and it's this public. They usually take like a good week. I love this judge, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was surprised. Because what I didn't factor in earlier when I was saying, I just don't see him being as responsible of a judge that he is. I just don't see him going right into sentencing today. You never see that happen.
Never.
But at the same time, in regards to kind of how he put it, it makes sense that he was ready for a verdict. It makes sense that he's ready to let everyone at least create the option of being so efficient to where people can just go home and put this behind them already. Why drag it on another day? So,
well, because they were local, you would think that it wouldn't be that big of a deal for him, to bring them back in. That I just can't believe that if he's going to do it today. And then, what do you think her sentence will be? Just life?
I'm not sure, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet that it's going to be life.
Yeah, you don't think it'll be like one of those like 25 years and then whatever?
I think it depends on the charges. He's going to sentence on the charges. But for the murder charge, she's just going to get life. I believe.
Don't they have this worksheet or something where they get points? You add up the points or whatever for like if whatever the charges are. There's a point system that they use. You know what I'm talking about? When they make
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think that there's like a point system where they add up. Each charge has like a amount of points that you give, which add up to years.
Yeah, let me clear up the chat real quick here because there are people who don't know that the death penalty is not on the table. The death penalty is not on the table because Colorado is not a death penalty state, at least not currently. So, yeah, so she's not facing the death penalty. At least I don't think so. Someone mentioned at one point that when she was arrested, it was still a death penalty state, but I don't think that matters. I think it matters as far as the trial goes.
Oh God!
So I don't think death penalty is on the table at all.
Yeah, because I think it would have to be on the table if it was during the verdict, not during the arrest.
Right. I don't see her getting. Who knows? This judge might get creative. Who knows? Like we're thinking very black and white here. Whereas is she going to get life in prison or is she going to get 25 to life with the possibility of parole or blah blah blah. Who knows? I'm gonna guess, since it's not a death penalty state, and since the nature of her crime is as bad as it is, the idea of her being insane, that's already out the window. She's found guilty on all counts, so there's no factoring in what her mental health at this point.
I will say, though, I guarantee you she's on some lithium or some medicine or whatever, and that's why we're not seeing any emotions out of her. It's probably why she's tired. It's probably
no, we're not seeing any emotion out of her because she didn't give a shit enough to. I mean, we haven't seen any emotion out of her through any of the evidence.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm saying that
I don't think it has anything to do with lithium or any medication she's on now. I think she's just simply an asshole, and that's it.
She is. She's certainly an asshole. I hate her so much. I didn't think I did hate her anymore, but I do think that that's why she's like been sleeping. I didn't realize that one lawyer that you put on that one night, the real handsome one, he pointed out that she had her fingers in her ears during a bunch of the witnesses that were testifying.
Right.
And I didn't even see that.
I mean, throughout the trial, she's had a bunch of certain behaviors, you know.
Did you see her put her fingers in her ears?
Did I see her put her fingers in her ears? No.
Yeah, she did.
But I mean, she put her fingers in her ears. She went down and went to sleep a couple times. She gave people the bird. So my point being is that her putting her fingers in her ears doesn't really mean anything to me, in comparison to all the other stuff that she was doing.
Now, did she get an automatic? Will she get an automatic appeal?
No, I don't think appeals work automatically like that. I think she has to file an appeal.
And then in death sentencing.
No, like I mean, she could appeal her case.
Well, not an automatic. You know what I mean? Like, not automatically, but just like, you know, when you get a death sentence, they automatically appeal that. You know what I mean? The lawyers automatically will put in for an appeal.
During a death sentence. Well, like I said, it's not automatic, but they tend to do that. Yeah. And they might, you know, but it really doesn't matter. The evidence was pretty overwhelming. You know, if she files for an appeal, a lot of things are going to probably be taken into consideration, things that I couldn't tell you because I'm not an attorney, but but I've seen in cases like this where they file for an appeal and the appeal just doesn't even get
it doesn't even get acknowledged.
Right. I mean, they acknowledge it and they review it. They just decide that they're not going to allow the appeal.
Well,
they're going to deny the appeal, basically.
It's crazy is that how they held her phone and wouldn't let her leave. Like that to me, that's real. I don't know. That to me was really bizarre that they did that at the police station. You know, how they treated her there. But I don't know. You know, that one lawyer had a reason for that. But, you know, whatever. Anyway, is other people calling in?
They're about to, yeah. I think so.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say how surprising that was. I don't have anything to say.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's very surprising that he's going to do the sentencing in 30 minutes.
Okay. All right. You have a good day. Use some aspirin, honey. That'll make your sinuses open up.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Not make your head woozy. All right. Talk to you later.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
All right. The line's open again, folks. Anybody else who wants to call in? You're on. Who am I speaking with? You're on. Who am I speaking with? Okay. Somebody's shit is not working, much like my coffee maker, which is really annoying me. You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, Claire. Well,
Hey.
it's Supergirl calling you again this
Hi,
week.
Supergirl.
Well, new week. Thank you so much again for covering this case. You've done a terrific job. And today, I have saw my eyes out. I'm so glad. We knew we were dealing with an amazing jury, and they did their job. And they came through and gave justice to this child and his family.
Agreed.
And I'm so grateful for that.
Yes, me too. I can see you're very emotional right now.
And I appreciate you so much for sitting 5 weeks, 9 hours a day when we all have lives and dedicating yourself. I have seen you and Chasing both do this, and I've spent my time here with you because the lovely Team Brittany gave me a membership, and I'm like, I've been with you for a long, long time. And this is where I've spent my time, and I love you. I love your show. I love your open-mindedness, and I'm just happy as I could. A day of celebration. My birthday is on Saturday, and this is the best birthday present I could possibly get.
Well, I'm glad. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for calling again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good one.
You too. You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, this is Shannon.
Hi, Shannon.
Hey, I was watching this, so I paused it because I don't know if it's live when you're talking on here. Oh my God, I can hear myself. Okay.
You just hit mute. Hit mute on your YouTube.
Okay, I did.
There you go.
Well, I came in late, and so I just saw that there was 30 minutes before, but they found her guilty, right?
Yes, she's guilty on all counts.
Yeah, and I was going to tell you, I think that I heard the other lady talking about having a appeal. But don't you think this judge and his attorneys will decide for Gannon and the juror that left because she knew a witness? I think they took every step to make sure that this her sentence will be held up and she won't have any grounds for appeal ever.
Well, right, but and I should be more careful when I word things because I know that I'm guilty of it too. But we should try to think of it more like instead of them doing everything they can to avoid appeals, because it's always their right to appeal. It's a constitutional right, so it's their right to appeal. But the thing is try to what we should probably do is try to think of it in terms of them just trying to get it right the first time. The reason why you would have grounds for an appeal is because things on somebody's end wasn't done right the first time. So I think that everyone did everything they were supposed to do right the first time, except for the defense, but that's the defense's fault. The defense, they had an expert witness who turned out to not be such an expert, and completely disrespected the court's proceedings, disrespected the court, and just failed to prove that her case, failed to back up her findings. So
you know what I was thinking? That lady, the doctor, I would look back on all the things that she's testified in everybody's case before, because that woman is, that's a whole different subject. But, she's just, I don't know. I mean, when they asked her who was that in the room and she denied knowing that was her own son, I mean, that was pretty bad.
Right. Like the fact that she came off as a liar just completely ruined any credibility that she had with the jury. You know,
Yeah,
I
that was
mean,
pretty
all she
bad.
had to do was just be like, oh, well, that's my son, and then come up with some bullshit, psychological reason why she thought it would benefit to have that extra person there. And you know what I mean? She could have came up with some bullshit,
Yeah.
but she didn't.
Hey,
She
I
was
didn't.
just like,
I'm
wait,
sorry.
what? There's somebody else there. What do you mean? Yeah, look.
Right. That was just ridiculous. I mean, anybody who comes in could see she gave every excuse, until that was her last one she had, So I'm glad that everybody saw through their experts. What was I going to tell you? Oh, I heard in someone else's thing, I think the lawyer, they said that it was audible, like cries or something coming from the family. Did you hear that? While you had it going?
I did not hear that.
Yeah, me either.
But I mean, that's the thing is, I don't even know what
and
loved
hearing all the stuff
ones
she did to your child.
I don't even know what loved ones she had in the gallery,
Yeah, I don't think she had any.
except for maybe her brother, but I doubt it.
Gannon's dad and mom and everyone having to sit there and listen. I can't imagine. I just cannot imagine. I just can't.
Right.
She hit him so many times. They said, I mean, why? Why? Ugh.
Yeah. I mean, the nature of the crime is
Somebody you think you trust, a stepmom,
right.
And
she lied
just,
and lied and lied and lied and
I think her hiding her face on that interview and then her hiding her face in the court, she's just more thinking about what other people think of her than his life. I heard her say something like that in her interviews. I ruined my life. Why would I just one day ruin my life? And I'm thinking,
right.
You took away I don't see that thinking.
Well, that also is evidence that she only thinks of herself. She was talking about me. Why would I do that to myself?
Right.
That's the wrong road to go down there, Tisha. So
just be glad we don't think that way and we can't understand that way of thinking. That's just, I can't. I mean, to imagine someone stabbing him, shooting him, beating him, like, I don't know, but I hope that she gets I hope that she has a hard time in prison. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I hope she really does. I mean, the people in there have heard, they know who she is. They'll probably keep her when she comes in, like where people, solitary, where she's alone. But eventually they're going to let her out into the population, and she's not going to be too popular there.
I mean, I'm not even going to pretend to know what's going to happen to her once she goes into prison and how they're going to deal with her and how they're going to bunk her. And
there, so I know.
The truth is, like, I'm not really going to give a shit at that point. You know what I mean? Like once she's sentenced, I once she's sentenced, speaking for myself, I could put this behind me. I as far as I'm concerned, she's done. She's cooked. It's over.
Yeah.
She has been consuming my thoughts for 3 years, and
I know.
Fuck that. I'm done. I'm glad the family's going to be able to move on. That's all I care about.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I love your show.
Thank you.
And I know you have a lot of other people calling in. I don't want to be rude, but I just want to say hello. And I've seen you grow, like your background's changed and your whole thing, you got going on. It looks great. And I hope you get more and more subscribers because I really, really like you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
All right. Okay, well, I'm going to finish watching you now.
All right, right on. Thanks.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. I got time for a call or two more if anybody else wants to try. You're on. Who am I speaking with?
I'm living in it. Mr. Harlan. I haven't seen you in a while.
What's up, dude?
Yeah, I'm doing good. You? Oh,
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. I'm glad I heard the news. She's going to jail. It's to prison. Guilty. It's what should have happened in the first place. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, well,
It's what should have happened.
trials
She's
take time,
evil.
but yeah, I agree with you. This trial should have happened a long time ago, but
Exactly.
the good part is we're here, and
Yeah.
that's we can't we can't go back and
No.
when it comes to all the time she wasted, we can't get that time back, but we're here at the end of the day. We're here. So
Yes.
and that decision's been made, and she's exhausted all the chances that she's had of
Yes.
welcome LNC. She's exhausted all the chances that she's had to waste everyone's time and manipulate the situation, and all of her efforts are exhausted. They're gone. They're done. So now,
Yeah.
and I mean, this dude, I can't believe that he's going to sentence her today. That's crazy. It's crazy.
It is very
I
crazy.
called that
but
one wrong for sure.
Huh. It's great that the sentencing is happening today. No more wasting time. She is a lying, manipulative person. And you even saw she didn't react to shit. She didn't react to nothing. She just sat there.
Right. Which
Nothing.
I'm glad she did in a way, because she didn't even react in a sad way, like there was any
No.
injustice. But at the same time, it was interesting that she didn't I thought of all people she would have an outburst, but she didn't have an outburst. The fact that sentencing is coming up probably has a lot to do with that, because she still has yet to be sentenced, and so she's hanging on that and being a very well-behaved, good little girl while the judge prepares to pass sentencing, which I'm pretty sure he's probably already established how he was going to sentence her depending on the circumstances. So
Right.
he's probably already prepared a speech behind it, everything.
He should be. He's already ready.
Yeah. Man, my coffee maker's just not working. It's making me so mad because I really want coffee.
At least your coffee maker stopped working. It didn't get burned up by a dishwasher.
Yeah, I know. Like,
Hey,
I'm
yes,
over
that
here
really
smacking
happened.
it yeah.
I had a Keurig, and on that day I was at work, and it was on November the 29th. I could find my last video I made, and the next day, the dishwasher just goes up. And I looked at my Keurig I got for Christmas, and it was melted. Destroyed.
It's a bummer, dude. Yeah, I'm over here.
Yeah, and it was a Kenmore dishwasher.
I'm over here smacking this thing like crazy, just like it's cherry on a Saturday night. It's just not even. Yeah, it doesn't want to budge. It's not the outlet. The lights are on and all that stuff. Yeah, like it's not an electrical. It does not need cleaning. Cleaning.
No.
Cleaning. Tracy, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate it.
Ooh. Because as soon as all the walls were ripped out at my house, we had knob and tube wiring, and I said, no wonder there were outlets in the kitchen not working, and eventually that wiring had nothing to do with the dishwasher. It was a control board in the right-hand corner of the door, and it started arcing, and it set the whole thing on fire. It was like an inferno in a furnace. And I wasn't there. No. I had an uncle living with us at the time, and he put out the fire as much as he could. Had 2 cops arrived after he called the fire department. And initially, those cops didn't want to go in the house because they didn't know what was going on. Until eventually, they got the courage to go in. They put it out, but it was still smoldering, and the fire department came. But since then, I've been living in an Airbnb.
Yikes.
It's a nice house, but
That sounds like a fucking nightmare, buddy.
Oh yeah, it is. We've got, my room has almost no ventilation. It gets hot up here, and right now it's not so bad, but if it gets hot up here, it's disgusting. And there's 2 beds up here. The other bed has all my clothes. In one corner, there's a bunch of signed hockey jerseys. And then there's no place to hang shirts whatsoever.
Huh.
None. And I'm just looking at this place. I was like, well, I have a place to live, but I would never live in a house like this.
I feel you, man. At least you got a roof over your head, man. I hope everything works out for you, dude.
Yeah, that's nice. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that, man. Much love to you, dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, man. I'm going to take the next caller. I think I got time for one more before court comes back.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Bye. I'll
See ya.
still be watching.
Yeah, I think I got time for one more before court resumes, and then I may cut you off rudely. Just saying. It's quite possible and likely. Just saying. Oh, nope, wait. Court's back. Or at least they're coming back.
All right, court will recall 20 CR 1358, People versus Letitia Stout. My understanding is that both sides are prepared to proceed to sentencing. Is that accurate? Prosecution? Yes, Your Honor. Defense?
Oh, Channel 9 needs to get it together because I can hear it. Here we go. Impact statements.
All right, court will recall 20 CR 1358, People versus Letitia.
We're going to have.
Now, my understanding is that both sides are prepared to proceed to sentencing. Is that accurate? Prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, sir.
All right. Before we start, well, first of all, I assume that we're going to have some family members.
We have some family members and other people that were affected by this
Okay.
case that would like to speak, yes.
Sure. All right. Before we start, I want to remind everybody that I am the person that imposes the sentence in this case. That means that when you come up to the podium, you address all your comments to me. You need to do that in a respectful fashion. Remember the decorum. You guys have done great for the last 5 or 6 weeks. And I know we're at the end now, but it's still important to continue with that type of appropriate and proper conduct. So if there's anyone that is going to speak as to sentencing, you don't turn and face the defendant. All your comments are directed to me. In addition, Ms. Stout, you'll have an opportunity to make a statement to the court as well. Same rule applies to you. Your comments are directed to me. You don't turn and face anybody in the gallery or anybody else. If you have any comments, you make them to me. So with that, prosecution.
As loud as it goes, Sammy
Before we
Sunshine.
get
I'm
started, I
sorry.
just got a notification that it sounds like maybe on WebEx, your mic might be off, or I was just getting a notification that people are not hearing that.
I hear him fine.
It looks like it's on. Or my tab says it's on.
It is.
Okay.
It
He
is.
says it's working.
Okay.
It may not have been on a little bit ago, and we were having a technical issue, and I think it got restarted, so I think we're okay now.
Okay.
So, but if you continue to get messages, let me know.
I will do, Judge.
Okay.
The first person that would like to make a statement to the court is Nicole.
All right.
And I'll have each person spell a name for the court report.
Yes.
Who is Nicole?
All right. Just step up to the podium there and just state your name and then tell me what you have to tell me.
Nicole Mobley, Nicole Mobley.
Oh, she testified. Yeah. Okay. She's the friend.
I just want to initially thank you for everything that you've done through all of this, as well as the prosecution. This has been well over 3 years of a family, as well as hundreds or
Yeah,
thousands
she's
of
the
us
neighbor.
who have gone through a lot. It's been hard. It's been heartbreaking. And to finally see some kind of justice, especially for his family, is incredible. And I just want to thank everybody for everything that you guys have done.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jane?
Considering who she is, I thought that was appropriate.
Hello, Your Honor. My name is Janie Cadenas,
All right. Can you spell that last name?
Cadenas.
Okay, go ahead.
Also, like what Nicole said, wanted to thank you for making this such a fair and neutral trial through the process. I am here today as I have sat with the family for the last 3 years as a community member in Lorson Ranch who has watched the turmoil that this has caused everybody in our community. 3 years ago, we heard as a neighborhood what happened, that a little boy went missing, and we rallied together in a way that most communities can never experience or imagine. We came together and we helped find ways to get media involved, to get search parties involved, to do everything we could to be of assistance to find this little boy, because Gannon wasn't just a neighbor, he was all of our little boys. For months and months until he was found, we were all scared to let our kids go outside because we were scared that they would be kidnapped. We didn't know what was going to happen. And through that process, we all came together and we met Landon and Al, those of us that didn't know them, and we built relationships and friendships and garnered a family relationship with them.
Thank you, Katie.
Through that process. But this is just one thing that, as a community member, somebody who was a part of it from the beginning, that I can confidently say, this is the worst tragedy that anybody could ever go through, and every parent's nightmare. And I have watched and held Landon as she falls apart time after time. But we are here today and justice has finally been served for Gannon. And we want to thank you as a community for that opportunity for this to happen today.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Jeff Davenport, Jeffdavenport.
All right.
I am Gannon's great uncle. I'm Albert's uncle, and my sister Debbie, who hopefully will be speaking in a few minutes, is his grandmother. Because I am a couple of steps away from him in relation, even though I have personal memories of Gannon and the loving, wonderful young man that he was and the great man he would have been. I want to leave the depth of impact to his parents. So I would like to talk about the breadth of impact. The preciousness of an 11-year-old's life is beyond measure, and all other impacts to all the rest of us pale in comparison to the loss he suffered himself. But this now convicted murderer did not just murder Gannon. She murdered all of the love and joy and encouragement and security he would have brought to all those he encountered throughout his life. She murdered his children and his grandchildren and all of the joy and love and encouragement and security they would have brought to all those they encountered throughout their life, and so on and so on. She murdered his junior prom, his senior prom, his high school graduation, his college years, his career, his marriage, his retirement, and his golden years. And it just goes on and on. Because of her crime, all of our fragile trust in one another has been further eroded. It's not an exaggeration to say that millions of people throughout the world have heard of this crime and will as a consequence be less trusting and more suspicious of those in whose care they entrust their children, even those who have loved and cared for their children for years. And because of her specious, cynical, calculated use of the NGRI defense in this case, those who are truly mentally ill will be treated with more suspicion and may not receive the help that they need. The reverberations of her murder of Gannon will ripple throughout eternity, and the impact of her crime is truly incalculable. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Very
Mr.
well
Allen?
put. Oh, here comes Land. No, that's not Landon. Her hair made me think it was Landon.
Thank you, Judge. Veronica Birkenstock, spelled Veronica, Birkenstock, Birkenstock. I am Landon's Aunt Veronica, or Aunt V, Gannon's great aunt. Nothing in life prepares you for the murder of a child. No one ever thinks this can happen to your family. A little over 3.5 years ago, I got a call, a very dreaded call, that I needed to come and be with Landon. For over 3 years, I have dear left her side in all the hearings, all the motions, and all the hearings that the defendant decided not to come to because she didn't think it was important. But regardless, we showed up, and we showed up for Gannon. I want to talk about forgiveness today because as a Christian, I have to forgive, not because I want to, because human flesh does not want to. The judge today, on behalf of Landon and I, we want this court to know that we have forgiven Letitia for what she did. God is the ultimate judger. But I pray today that you, Judge, will give her what she deserves on this earth and will let God do the rest in eternity. I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but I would like to leave this Bible. And at some point in time, if you think it's okay, to give to Letitia as she serves her life sentence. And we hope that will be a punishment that you render shortly. But this is a life application Bible. For the rest of her natural life, I hope she will read the Word of God. And I hope that she will turn from her evil ways and the things that she did to our family. I have sat here for 6 weeks, and I have listened to the horrendous things that she did to my nephew. I don't want the last memory of him to be what she did to him. Our last memory of Gannon was one of fun, love, joy. So articulate, and despite everything, he was gifted and intelligent. He wasn't supposed to live. The day he was born, the doctors told us he had really no chance. He weighed 1 pound and a few ounces. I'll never forget the picture that Albert sent when he took his wedding ring and it fit all the way to his shoulder. For months, I saw Landon and Albert pray over their baby.
Oh my
And
God.
one of the happiest days was the day he got to come home. And I was there with them. I got to spend the first night holding him for the first time and looked in his beautiful eyes, and he fought so hard to get there. His 11 years did have impact. And I want us to remember again, and it's who he was, not what this evil deed did to his memory. He is our hero and will always be our hero. Letitia tried to steal many things from my niece. She called her a drug addict. She called her homeless when she was in the hospital having her 3rd child. She was there for months and months trying to save her life and her baby. She wasn't homeless. Landon's a good mother. She loved her children. And she loved Gannon. And her only son was taken away by someone who was just ferociously jealous of my niece. With all that being said, I pray that you will give her the sentence that she deserves. But I also pray that God will forgive her if she repents and turns from her evil ways.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Allen?
Totally cold. Look at her. Totally cold.
My name is Bob Rogers, B-O-B, R-O-G-E-R-S. My wife Patty and I are grandparents to Lena and Gannon, who we never had the opportunity to meet in person. Over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of tears and challenges with Al, if we hopefully helped him walk through this tragedy. The person that comes to mind for me is Lena. Lena is Gannon's younger sister. And we have the opportunity to be grandparents to her. And she's a beautiful child. She sings beautifully. She's talented. What she doesn't have is an older brother to stand beside her as she goes through her life. She still mentions Gannon quite often, her brother. We never want the spirit of Gannon or the memory of Gannon to be lost. So I just am a loss for words. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Deborah Pierce, Pearce. Sorry. Gannon's grandmother. And I just wanted to thank you, first of all, Your Honor, for this court and everything that's been done, for everyone who has so carefully and impartially cared for this case, for this loss of this precious child. And I feel that if Gannon were here today, he would say, please, please protect my family and be concerned for the loss that they've had. This has gone from my children to my grandchildren, little children who lost a cousin who never understood why something like this could happen. If he were here today, he would say, please take care of my family. Make sure that they're protected as time goes on and as this life goes on. And obviously to help us to go forward in this life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, Your Honor. My name is Landon Bullard, also referred to as Hyatt in this case, but Bullard's Bullard. I miss you, Gannon, and I love you to the moon and back again. I know every day you're with me and your sisters, but that will never be taken away. The ache that I have for you, to hold you, to hug you, to tell you how much I love you, and to see your smile and your innocence. I remember all the pain your dad and I suffered with having children. It was never easy, and we were always fearful through the process. On September the 29th, 2008, our lives were forever changed. Our first biggest blessing came into the world, weighing only 1 pound and 6 ounces. You fought all the odds and developed a personality and a smile that's larger than life. You became my hero that day. You forever changed my heart and my life, and that will never change. That is something that can never be taken away from me. You came into this world fighting. And unfortunately, you left this world fighting. Your Honor, she fought against someone that he loved and trusted. Someone that myself and Albert both trusted and loved. Someone who can never understand what it means to love or trust anyone but herself. For more than 3 agonizing years, I've often wondered what I may say, or if I would even be able to. For 3 years, I have questioned every single possibility and scenario. For 3 years, I have tried to forgive you, but I can't. I want to. But no parent should have to bury their child. No parent should have to see or hear the horrific things you have done to the whole family. She has taken away the most precious gift in this world. Not just my family, not Al's family, but your own family. She destroyed dozens of lives, lives of people who never wanted to believe that she could have done this. She knew how special Gannon was, and she knew what meant to most to me. I, in my heart, can never understand her hatred and insecurities. When it came to me, I did love her. Mother to mother, I trusted her with my children while trying to survive a complicated life with my third child. And she used every opportunity to write a narrative of my life to try to take pieces of my life. When she already took some of it, that still wasn't enough. She searched. I lost my place. I don't know where I'm at now. She searched so hard for love when all along she had it, but she took it for granted. I didn't hold anger against you then. I still kept my heart open to her. You had so much love from Lena and Gannon, from Harley, her own daughter, that you willingly subjected to the chance of serving time for her crimes. Such an indicator of her inability to love anyone herself. You had support, appreciation for me, even when we couldn't see eye to eye, because I valued her for helping me with our children when I physically couldn't. Even when I was fighting for my kids, as you wrote, a false smear campaign against me and my children, and also Al. For me, I still appreciated that they were loved by you. So I thought. She had everyone fooled. She projected abuse and addiction claims against all of us, not just me, when all along she was the one harming innocent children. Anything to take the light off, manipulating us, breaking my kids, and murdering my son. I can't say that she ruined my life, because that would be some form of sick victory for her. Because even through this process, it's been a game to her. The people who listened doesn't know her style or her sly jabs. She's even made at Albert and I. They do not know the significance of certain things she says or does. But we do. Instead of allowing her to take that power of hurting me further, I wanted to tell you this. Let me tell you what Gannon has done. Even to this day, even after you murdered him and she tried to taint any positive image of him, he has caused families and communities to come together. Children and adults have given their life to Christ. He has called unity in times of trial. He is a hero. She even tried to steal that away. A cape? Huh? The one image of Gannon that was created for the world. After it went national, TV begging for the return of my son, my hero. How dare her? How truly sick and cruel is she? You stole so much from this world. Gannon's cousins, aunts, uncles, sisters, new siblings, grandparents, and friends are missing a huge portion of their lives without Gannon. Lena is missing her brother. Your Honor, I've never seen a bond between two siblings so close as theirs. She had to take that. Why? I'm afraid we may never know that answer, will we? I show his baby sister Nova pictures and videos of Gannon so she will always remember who he is, because she stole him from us. He is not forgotten and never will be. And it's so sad to sit here today and face her, a person even Gannon loved, one that I know while she was attacking and killing him and fought for his life, he defended himself against her, still loving her. a love she never deserved from him for what she has done. While she is too much of a coward to even come forward with the truth, she owes it to Gannon. But the lack of remorse and the lack of respect to Gannon through this child, her lack of compassion shows me that she and we were all wrong. She manipulated all of us and never loved Gannon, Lena, or Harley. I've sat here for over a month having to listen to her sick lies, even as she tried to destroy who I was and Albert as a father. I've had to sit and listen and watch every reenactment of images no one wants left in their minds. You wanted to leave us with that, knowing it would torture us, but you underestimated me. I am Landon, Gannon's mom, and that will never change. Through my hurt, anger, and pain, I will never be the monster that she is. I can never be filled with the hate that her heart holds. I pray that we will never have to look at her face again. I will continue to hold on to my faith. Vengeance is not mine, as I surely wish it could be at times, but it's the Lord's. I have to trust in that. Thank you, Judge Warner, for your compassion, your patience through this trial. I want to thank the juror for their attentiveness and time that they took for justice for my boy, to the detectives, officers, legal team for every single second they've poured out into Gannon's case, and to the community for your countless hours. Tisha, that was her biggest mistake. You underestimated this community and this defensive team, Lorson Ranch. They searched for and fought for Gannon within hours, and they never believed your lies from the moment they started. None of these people ever gave up on him. You never looked. All of these people I will forever hold close to my heart. Always Gannon strong. My G-men forever. Justice has been served today. Your Honor, I pray that you just give her the best sentencing, the longest sentencing that you can. This will not bring my son back, but I can sleep soundly for the first time in 3 years, knowing that you can never harm, this defendant can never harm anyone again, knowing Gannon will always be a true hero in a cape. He will always be my son. That will never be taken away.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Allen?
Once I was 7 years old, my mama told me, go make yourself some friends or you'll be lonely. Once I was 7 years old. It was a big, big world, but we thought we were bigger. Pushing each other to the limits, we were learning quicker.
Al Stauk, Gannon's father, capital Father. Last name Stauk. Stauch. I'm gonna start with something from my wife, not to go out of order, but she didn't think she could make it through it. So this is my wife, Melissa, and these are her words. Some may say or think that I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Tisha. In part, that may be accurate, and I would be okay with that, because then Gannon would still be here. I too know the pain of losing a child, and there is no greater pain. We are now lifelong grief partners, as this is a lifelong journey of pain with 2 sons waiting for us in heaven.
My God, she must have lost a child too. I can't even
I
imagine.
have some words from my daughter, Elena. I will address in the middle of my speech, but they're written in yellow, so I don't know if I should leave it to a child. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever God may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of the wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. The poem I read is named Invictus, translated from the Latin means unconquerable. I quoted this same poem at Gannon's memorial here in Colorado Springs back in August of 2020. Why August of 2020? When his body was ripped to shreds on January 27th? Well, as we heard testimony to, his body was found 1,370 miles away. And then the process to identify his maggot-infested remains withheld him from us until July 2020. As I stated in my testimony on the stand, Gannon was born severely premature and barely filled my two hands the first time I held him. At the end of his life, after his body was cremated into a pile of ashes, he was ultimately no bigger than the first time I held him. As brutal as the wait became, I'm thankful to God and the bridge workers for finding him and returning his precious body to Landon and I quote the poem Invictus again, not to boast of my strength and perseverance, Your Honor, but to say to the world, I alone can control my actions and reactions. Your Honor, I refuse to allow anger to poison my soul and orient my life to a pursuit of vengeance. I refuse to allow pain to carry me through each day and promote the pursuit of medicinal retribution toward the offender. I refuse also to let my mind be clouded by inconsistency and emotions that deter me from the purpose in this life. Your Honor, the price I pay each and every day for this resolve is to only get pieces and parts of my son. And consistently through time. But the pain is too heavy and the anger too overwhelming and the desire for vengeance too vexing. Instead, each and every day I pursue peace. I seek joy in my life and let the love I have for my wife and family flow in and out of me like a mighty wave. As I told Tisha regularly at the end of our relationship, my joy is mine alone, and she cannot rob me of that. I will learn to experience G more and more as time goes on, but as I did my best to instill into his precious soul, love, joy, service, and kindness are the pathway to take in life. This picture shows that in the 4th grade, he already had a mind for service. Throughout these past 3 years since Gannon was beaten and drugged, carved up, shot at point blank range and discarded like yesterday's garbage, I've encountered many people that would figuratively do the same to me. I have been questioned, compared as Tisha did to my abusive father, and ridiculed for my approach to finding Gannon. I hope now that the world has seen that I was assigned the most arduous task of finding Gannon in the only place that was possible for him to have been in the mind of a killer. Were my efforts fruitful? But from the moment I did not see the Volkswagen Tiguan, or however you say it, at French Elementary.
I'll still got
Tuesday
jokes.
evening, a clear direction for finding Gannon pointed directly and precisely at Tisha. While others online, some who are even in the courtroom today, question my perceived lack of effort or concern, I stood still and stood firm in knowing that only one person had the information needed to find Gannon. Now I say woe to the person who questions a father's resolve when the safety and well-being of his children are at stake. I did not waver. I did not falter in the pursuit, nor did I allow the mentality of the mob to shake me. But it was only by the grace of God that Gannon's precious body was finally found. In Mark 4:39 of the Bible, in the middle of a storm, Christ arose and rebuked the wind and said, "Peace, be still." In times of trial in my life, from seeing my father being taken away in handcuffs, seeing that sweet 1 pound, 6 ounce baby boy for my firstborn son being put into a Ziploc bag after he was born to help regulate his body temperature, and now searching for and never finding my son again, I have but one choice, and that is the times of trial and tribulation to have that peace and be still. As I alluded to previously, that stillness does provide an easy target for many who do not understand peace, hope, and even faith. Some, including Tisha, feasted on my stillness, attacked, and yes, left several scars. One of these scars comes in the form of the financial and residential ruin that began in the early days of this ordeal. I'm just going to skip this part because I don't want to make this any more about me. I'm not seeking any restitution, Your Honor. For the $1.50 a month I received from the defendant, Tisha, would just keep me connected to her for the rest of my life, and I don't want that. So absolutely no restitution, Your Honor. The murderer of which I speak was not always such. When I met Tisha, she was beautiful, extremely intelligent, as many have testified to, and a seemingly successful woman. A far cry from the nappy-headed, murderous, narcissistic, and arrogantly flippant human being
Get her.
that sits in our midst today.
Get her.
Having a background in teaching, social work, higher education, certified babysitting, and endless amount of credentials, that should render one trustworthy when it relates to the safety of children. However, although she remains too much a coward to state the facts of what she did to Gannon, too much a lily-livered, self-centered, pathological liar to ask for forgiveness, and too much the facade of one who actually cares for others to have taken her frustration out on an adult or one who could defend themselves, she will one day give an account through her words or through her time. Sending pictures of Gannon sleeping to Landon and I was telling, as the boy looked pale and absent of the energies that so defined him. This is what a happy, healthy little boy looks like when he's sleeping in the next picture. That's what a little boy sleeping looks like. These pictures on the screen are of a happy, healthy little boy that's sleeping sweetly, healthily where he lay. The impact Tisha had as a result of this heinous crime stretches far wider and far deeper than I could depict through my statement today. Two other people torn to pieces as a result of this are Gannon's sister, Lena, and Harley. Speaking of Harley, I feel as though I've lost two children as a result of this tragedy, one of which I will never see on this earth again, and the other which I do not know if a relationship can be salvaged with. Now for Lena. The video you saw as submitted in evidence, her bebopping down the street, is actually an excellent depiction of Lena and her happiness and her joy in life. She is very loving, trusting, and at times way too social. Normally, you might be concerned by your little girl talking to the utility guy working in the front yard, but in this case, it was the inside of her own home that was of great concern. Nonetheless, her loss, Lena's loss, is like none I can even imagine. She lost her big brother, her only brother at the time. I still do not know if she has fully processed or fully understands the gravity of the situation, but regardless has pressed forward and is thriving as best as she can. I am so proud of her. And these are her words. Once again, they're in yellow, so I'll do the best I can. And this is what I asked her if she wanted to say anything to Tisha, and this is what she said in her sweetest mind that she has. That you do not do that to people, especially your stepkids. And that it is never all right to do these things. How sweeter of a response can you get? Now for my precious, premature firstborn son. Get it? I never in my wildest dreams would have ever thought you'd be in danger, buddy, or I know I wouldn't have not left you. At home with what turned out to be your murderer and the last person to ever see you on this earth. I'm so sorry. Through a father's eyes, children are truly a gift from God and among the best and most perfect creations God can make. Your Honor, I do need to clear one thing up with the defense. It was said both in the opening statement and in the closing, somehow Gannon has been compared to a demon. And I understand the process, I do. But if they want to take the case up of Gannon being a demon, I will line people up from Alaska to Denver to Colorado Springs, all the way to South Carolina to testify against them. Gannon was nobody's demon. I don't care how much anyone was abused or anything, he was not anyone's demon. Oh, okay. Gannon was truly, Gannon was truly my buddy. Very recently, before he died, the most alarming thing he did was call me dad. Up until age 10 or 11, I was daddy. But in the last months of his life, I was just dad. A signal that he was coming into those junior high, pre-teenage years. Another amazing thing that is he finally started asking me regularly to play ball with him. He was never too much into sports for most of his life, but that last 6 to 9 months, he really started enjoying playing ball. Some of the most memorable times were him running little 5-yard football routes in the street in front of our house. Most of the time he dropped the ball, but he kept asking, let's do it again. I almost had it that time, Daddy. Oh, and that Nintendo Switch. One of the most difficult pieces of evidence to give up was his Nintendo, because that probably has the most of him on it. Knowing I may never see that again is truly devastating. For him, many of his games were not just games, but a challenge to overcome, as I made him beat specific games before I would buy him the next one. I remember not long before he died, him beating the old school Zelda game he had. As he felt he was getting close to beating the final monster, he paused it, ran upstairs, and we sat at the kitchen island, and he beat it right there together with me. He was as excited as I ever saw him. With all of that and all of the pain of only being able to see him play through the one YouTube video he was able to make, which I'm about to play, I can sleep in peace at night because the father I am and the son he is was culminated as always in our final embrace as he ran out of arms and downstairs to watch Pokemon, I in his heart and he in mine. If we could try to play that video, just maybe the first 10 or 15 seconds of it.
Hey guys, and today I'm about to play some Sonic Mania.
All right, let's zoom in.
And yes, cameraman is right here. Grandpa Star White Gaming. And yes, sign up for our channels. We're going to be doing a lot of these together. Give a shout out to him, his channel, Freedom.
Thank you. That was one of the many he hoped to make and the only one he was actually able to make. I do want to add something that I don't have in my speech that me and Landon already had a conversation about this, and I owe her an apology as well as she already gave me one, that we allowed Tisha to manipulate us into some of the pain and disagreements that we had between one another. And Landon, I'm sorry. But I will say this, Tisha was not the glue to keep everything together. She was not the answer. And this is not a jab, Landon, okay? But Lena still lives with me. Tisha, you were not the answer. Now, Your Honor, if I have any influence on the final sentence for Tisha, first I ask to be stripped of my last name immediately. It's nauseating and infuriating to hear her called Miss Stout this past 3 years. Secondly, I ask that for every mile she drove Gannon across the country, she spent 1 day in solitary confinement. I think that take us in between 3 and 4 years. After that journey is complete, I recommend her sentence be equal to every year she stripped off of Gannon's life, which for the average male in America right now is 77. So that would give her 66 more years in addition to the 11 he lived. Lastly, for every year of Harley's life that she abusively manipulated that child, she should have an additional year of prison. That adds 21 years to the total. I think without parole, that should suffice. I pray also that Tisha lives the fullest and happiest life that any inmate possibly can live. I also pray that every night before she falls asleep, her last breath before she drifts off sounds just like the breath that she describes Gannon breathing as life left his body. And that all through her sleep, she dreams of all the fun they had at Disney and other places we went throughout our time together. And that every morning as she is about to wake, the end of her dream, the last words Gannon spoke to her, screamed or cried, "Tisha, stop! You're hurting me. Why, Tisha? Daddy, help me. I want my mommy. Why couldn't you let her just be a mama's boy? That's all he wanted to be. He just loved his mama. I wish she would tell me what those words were so I would know. And then as she speaks those words, the sound of a gunshot goes off and she wakes. Every day and night, I pray she relives just those moments and then wakes up to a nice, warm, and kosher breakfast. In conclusion, I would like to share a picture of Gannon in his final state and final resting place, and thank everyone that has had a positive impact on my family and I. To everyone that has shared the positive impact Gannon has had on your life, from a proud and broken father, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. I'd like to pause until we can get that last photo up.
Not getting a feed from your laptop. It's fine. Oh, there it is.
Thank you, everyone.
Alan?
I think that concludes the comments from family and friends, Judge. So I'm not sure if you're ready to hear sentencing comments from me or if you want to do a different process.
Let me hear the sentencing comments from you. The last person that I always hear from in the sentencing is the defendant. So
Okay. Can I have just a moment, then?
you may go ahead.
That was that was easily the most
Just, in the
difficult.
abundance of caution, I would ask the court to keep restitution open for a period of time. Obviously, Mr. Stout is not asking for any restitution, but there may be some that we want to submit, and so I would ask the court to keep that open.
Well, based on the new case regarding timelines, I'm going to give you 49 days to submit an order.
Thank you.
If there is an objection, you'll need to file the objection within 14 days after that. And that'll get us all right. So 49 days, 14 if there's an objection, and if there is, we'll have a hearing.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Judge, I'm not going to make a long drawn out statement. I think the comments from the family and friends of the Stout family said it better than I ever could about the impact that Gannon had on their lives. The loss of Gannon from his family and to this community will never be made right through this process. We all know that. The defendant, through her own actions, tore Gannon's family apart, tore this community apart. And at the same time, I've never seen a community come together the way this community did in the face of such tragedy. over an 11-year-old boy who most of us never knew. The defendant manipulated this community, Gannon's family, the investigation. Been a prosecutor for a long time, Judge. You've seen a lot of cases. I've never seen the kind of horror that this defendant brought down on a community and a family. The torture that Gannon had to suffer in the last moments of his life are unspeakable. No matter what sentence you give us, Judge, and I know what that sentence is going to be for the most part, no matter what the sentence is, we'll never bring Gannon back. But it will go a long ways towards healing this community. I hope healing Landon. I hope healing Al. They're going to live the rest of their lives second guessing every decision they made as it relates to leaving their children in the care of this defendant. Through no fault of their own. Judge, on count 1 and count 2 merges into count 1. The only sentence available is life in prison without parole. As to count 4, tampering with a deceased human body, driving Gannon's body over 1,300 miles away, hiding it from view, hoping it would never be found, ask for the maximum sentence of 12 years, Judge, and that it be running consecutive to the life in prison without parole. Tampering with physical evidence is an F6. It's 1 to 1.5 years. I ask that you give max on that as well and run that consecutive. Judge, we do have that other pending case, 20 CR 3170, hanging out there. In the grand scheme of things, well, I'd love to prosecute this defendant for that charge as well. In the interest of justice, I would like to see this defendant in Department of Corrections custody as soon as possible. And so we are dismissing that count or that charge. Thank you, Judge.
I love it. We just want justice. Fuck all the technicalities.
Right, at this point in time, the defense has an opportunity to present statements in mitigation. Mr. Tellini?
I don't have pre-sentence confinement for staff, so that she ordered that she be allowed to cheat.
Give me an order.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Ms. Stout, I heard what your attorney had to say, but I need to hear it from you. You have a right to address the court at this point in time regarding any matter that you want me to consider for sentencing. Do you have anything that you wish for me to consider, ma'am? Right.
How about an I'm sorry? Maybe?
Actually, there is.
Go ahead.
Consider this or request to admit, reflect a request for further places in San Carlos.
I don't have the ability to do that.
Wow.
DOC determines where its inmates go, and I'm not going to make a recommendation one way or the other.
Unreal.
And I
Unreal.
apologize before I do this. I've heard a lot. I want to take about 10 minutes to put my thoughts in order. I'll come back with my sentencing at 3:25.
All rise.
All right. So I love that he's doing that because from what I'm seeing, a lot of people in chat are watching this on WebEx as well. And the judge was apparently very emotional. I had to get off camera myself a couple of times. I I couldn't really hear, but it sounded like she was trying to request uh, being housed in a certain wing of the prison, maybe because she made a buddy in jail. It's about as much as I can imagine. I don't know, but she's requesting to be in a certain wing in the jail, to be in a certain cell block in the prison. Uh, and she used her opportunity to give even the emptiest of apologies. She wasted that opportunity again to look out only for herself, um, which I think infuriated the judge that much more. Um, I like to think that the judge was ready to pass down sentencing right then and there, uh, and was emotional, and probably still needed time to collect his thoughts, but that sure as shit didn't help. Because I to just have to sit in front of somebody like that, um, and have them looking at you, not seem to care at all about what was being said by the loved ones of this defenseless, loving, caring little boy, and how he impacted all of them. Um, um, and yeah, listening to all of those impact statements, but of course, especially Landon's and Al's, uh, they had so much anger, but their anger was very well controlled. Uh, they have a right to react emotionally in any which way that they see fit. Uh, and they still manage to have so much respect for this judge's court, um, to keep their uh, anger in check. Uh, and I thought that spoke to their class in a way that I don't think that I've ever seen. Um, I don't think I've ever seen that. And I absolutely applaud both those parents for, um, you know, because Al still took his jabs, man. And I was glad to hear him. He deserved to be able to stand up there and say whatever he wanted. He earned it. Landon deserved to stand up there and say whatever she wanted. She earned it. They chose to take the high road, and I respect them. I'm not even going to say more or less for that. I just, their actions on that podium demand respect. I thought that they were amazing. Um, yeah, and I realize some people probably were upset about the fact that we couldn't see the screens that they were showing. Um, my response to that, folks, is that wasn't meant for us to see. That was for the judge. That wasn't even for the gallery to see. That was for the judge, and that was for Letitia. That's what those were designed to do, to show those pictures of Gannon, to show how beautiful of a boy he was, and how bright of a soul he had, and um, and I think that judge, uh, I if I were a praying man, my prayers would absolutely be with that judge right now, as well as the parents, um, and the loved ones of Gannon, because that judge right now is handing out justice, and he's doing so in a profession. He's going to be doing so in a very professional and as of sound of a mind as he can muster, due to how emotionally impacted he was by that, because you would have to have a heart of stone to not be uh, impacted by what they were saying. Um, I'll take calls after the sentencing. Um, maybe, I don't know. I'd really like to have coffee with that, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So, um, but I don't know. We'll see where we're at then. But we got about 2 minutes and some change before the judge is scheduled to come back and pass his sentencing. Um, and I still, I can't help but just think of how this monster just didn't care. And that's not crazy, you know? That's not crazy. That's cold-hearted. I believe justice is being served here today because the line that I was worried about being blurred and crossed over wasn't. What precedent is that going to set if all shitty people who decide to do shitty things for selfish reasons, who think of nobody but themselves, who think of how their actions are going to affect no one but themselves? What happens when these shitty people realize that they can claim mental health issues as an excuse for their actions? Uh, Letitia was not able to do that. Today, we saw that Letitia was not able to do that. And I have no doubt in my mind that this is all going to be reflected in sentencing. No, yeah. Yeah, and I appreciate the super chats for the coffee maker and all. It's not what I was doing, man. I was just bitching out loud because I'm sitting here banging on the side of my coffee machine like, dude, work, work. But it doesn't want to work today. So, um, yeah. Uh I'll get that all worked out. I probably shouldn't even be drinking coffee anyway. Yeah, it's true. Cherry's right. I was just whining. That's what I got. Well, oh no, you're talking about like an old school. Yeah, like I need to get a hot plate down here if I'm gonna like make like some real like Cuban coffee, some colas, dude. That would be fantastic. No, the thing is, it's done this before. So, all right, we're back, guys.
A parent's worst nightmare is getting a phone call letting them know that something has happened to their child. How much worse must that nightmare be when law enforcement asks not for a picture of your loved one, but rather DNA and dental records?
Wow.
I've also heard it said that one of the worst tragedies a parent can experience is to outlive a child. I have known people, both professionally and personally, who have gone through that. It never leaves them, but the sharpness of the pain does diminish to some extent over time. I cannot fathom the pain Mr. Stauch and Ms. Bullard have experienced as a result of the defendant's actions. A sentence in a criminal case such as this will not change the fact that their son's life was taken from them, and no sentence I impose and nothing I say will ever change that fact. Ms. Stauch, you betrayed the person you loved enough to marry. You told your husband lies and took away someone he loved. You took away every day that Mr. Stauch or Ms. Bullard could have had with their son. When you take a life, regardless of how you do that, you forever alter the future. Neither Mr. Stauch nor Ms. Bullard will ever see their son graduate from high school, go through the joy and the pain of that first love, or get married. They will never know what kind of impact their son may have had on the world if only he had lived to become an adult. And had Gannon's body not been found, they never would have known what happened to Gannon. They would always have had a lingering doubt about what happened to Gannon. And I cannot imagine the pain and sense of loss associated with that. You betrayed your daughter, Harley Hunt. I cannot imagine the emotional impact that you have had on her due to your selfish and calculated actions. This is a young woman that trusted you to put her interests above yours. This is a young woman who believed in you and believed you were innocent of this crime right up until the time that you pled not guilty by reason of insanity. And she still loves you. That's natural for a child, and it doesn't matter how much older they get. You were supposed to protect her. I cannot imagine the guilt she feels or the therapy that she will need to address your betrayal. There is no evidence that she had anything to do with the murder or your cover-up of it, but some people still think that she is somehow involved. She wasn't. The incredible strength of will and courage that it took for her to come in and testify is amazing to me. But she did it because, as she said, it was the right thing to do. And while thankfully she didn't testify, let's not forget about Lena. You betrayed her too. You took her brother from her and forever altered her family dynamics. She will always wonder who she can trust and will always feel that loss. She was there the day you killed Gannon. His body was still in the house when she got back from school. At some point, you even claimed this 8-year-old girl helped you move her brother's body from the basement to the back of your car.
Wow.
That's just simply not true.
Wow.
As she gets older, Lena is going to want to know more, and she's going to want to know if there was something that she could have done to prevent this. I hope she comes to realize that she has no fault in all of this. You betrayed your stepson and you took his life. You took away everything he was and everything he could ever become. I can't imagine the terror and confusion that he must have felt in the last moments of his life when he knew his life was being taken by someone he trusted to protect it. Your attempt to raise the claim that you did this because of your adverse childhood is also a betrayal of people that have mental health issues. It is no secret that there is a large part of our population that has mental health issues. It's also no secret that our country and our health system could do a much better job addressing mental health issues than it does. However, the number of people with mental health issues who become violent is small, and the number who become murderers is smaller still. Your claim that a mental health issue caused the murder in this case is a disservice to all those who struggle with mental health issues every day.
Damn right.
This isn't the first case I have presided over in which sanity or a mental condition of the defendant has been raised as a defense. I have had cases where the defendant's mental condition caused the defendant to act out in a certain fashion. But even in those cases, I have never seen conduct like this. I understand the claim of dissociative identity disorder. I have seen something resembling that, and I have seen defendants with schizophrenic disorders. I can understand those. What I have seen is that the mental condition causes the person to act a certain way, and when they realize what they did, they are astonished
Get her.
what happened, or they have no memory of what happened. Your claim is that it was another personality that murdered Gannon, but there is no time during the minutes, hours, and days following the murder where Letitia came out and wondered, gee, why am I carrying a body around in my luggage?
It's my man. That's my man right there.
That just isn't credible. You knew what you were doing. You made a number of clear and conscious decisions to cover or disguise what you had done. Claiming a lack of motive is a common defense tactic, and it can be a sound strategy. The truth is, however, that it only takes a moment to make a bad decision that results in disastrous consequences. And oftentimes, we never know why a defendant chose a particular course of action. However, that does not mean that they did not intend to undertake a course of action. Sometimes, as in this case, the likely explanation is anger. An 11-year-old boy with burns who feels that he's not being taken care of. An 11-year-old boy on the verge of being a teenager. Those of us who have lived through people or kids with that were teenagers, we know how that is. It is not hard to imagine Gannon saying something, "You're not my mom. I want my mom. I want my dad." And that would be enough to make you really angry. But anger is not an excuse. A defendant is responsible for the choices they made and the actions they undertook, even though those choices arose out of or were motivated by anger. It's clear that you hated and were jealous of Landon Bullard. You saw yourself as a better mother than she was. It's clear from the evidence that you had some resentment from being left with Mr. Stauch's children. It's clear you had some resentment toward Mr. Stauch because he traveled as part of his job. Some of that manifested as early as Al's assignment in Alaska when you made allegations against the people in his unit. That caused Al to have to return from Alaska. And in one of the phone calls that were played for the jury, you talked about having to take care of his kids while he was away and what a good mother you were. It's clear you felt trapped. You wanted out. You were searching for a new job and a new location in Florida. Mr. Stauch had been gone on his new assignment for less than 2 days when the fire in the basement occurred. I can imagine that you saw your whole future consisting of taking care of Mr. Stauch's children while he was off doing his thing And that's not the future that you wanted. I can imagine Gannon at some point after he sustained his burns telling you wanted his real mom and how that comment would have made you angry. You took your frustration and anger for the marriage, the child care, the absence of Al, and even living in Colorado. You took all of that out on Gannon. The evidence suggests you first stabbed Gannon repeatedly, 18 times. Based on the number of defensive wounds, he was clearly conscious for some of that. He was certainly gravely wounded. And chillingly, it would also explain how you were able to mimic the sound of Gannon breathing in one of your sessions with Dr. Lewis.
Wow.
Those were probably close to his last breaths. He was dying but not dead. The evidence could also lead one to conclude that he either fell or rolled off the bed where you shot him in the head and then beat him with the butt of a gun or a baseball bat. That would explain the blood found at different levels on the walls in Gannon's bedroom. I'm also reminded of the look you had on your face when you slipped your handcuffs while being transported back to Colorado and attacked Deputy James. I shudder to think that that was probably the last thing that Gannon saw before he died.
Wow.
You have shown no remorse throughout this process. Instead, you've made a choice to build a web of lies. When you gave an interview to Detective Jessica Bethel on January 29 of 2020, you told her you lied to her about Gannon running away and that he was actually taken by a guy named Eduardo. When you explained that to Detective Bethel, you said you needed to lie because you didn't want to face the consequences. You told her that you were trying to come up with a plan about what you should do. And finally, you told her you really thought you could fix this. I think that's true. You lied because you didn't want to face the consequences. You needed to come up with a plan to fix this, and that plan involved covering up what you had done. It involved lie upon lie. But you slipped up at various points and let kernels of truth escape. In one conversation with Mr. Stout, you told him the FBI needed to close the borders of Colorado and needed to close I-95. I-95 doesn't go through Colorado.
Oh, I caught that
runs
too.
Along the entire eastern seaboard.
Mm.
It's also not far from where you dumped Gannon's body. When questioned by Detective Bethel, you told her that Mr. Stout might also make up some kind of story about you coming at him with a knife. He said you would never use a knife like that. Yet Gannon was stabbed 18 times. Your actions in this case also show a very conscious attempt to avoid responsibility in this case. You started out with the story that Gannon had run away. You gave some hints that it might be related to bath salts or drug use by Gannon. You stayed with that story until you were called into EPSO for an interview. You knew they weren't going to buy the story that Gannon ran away. Then you came up with the abduction. And you stayed with some iteration of that for a long time. But all of those versions had one thing in common. You were always the victim. In one, you're beaten and raped, and Gannon was abducted. In one, someone stole Gannon out of a truck in the parking lot. In another, you let someone drive Gannon to a hospital to take care of a head injury that he had after falling off a bike. In all of them, you could claim it wasn't your fault. You were just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
This guy.
Then you got arrested. You stuck to the story that it was someone else that took Gannon. During the hours that you spoke with Special Agent Grusing, he told you he thought sometimes good people do bad things and sometimes it's an accident. Then they found Gannon's body. Then you saw the mountain of evidence against you. And this is a mountain the size of Everest. What was your position after that? Well, it was an accident. And you, Letitia, didn't even do it. It was Maria Sanchez. You carefully crafted your new story to continue to avoid responsibility. It also allowed you to take advantage of the out that Mr. Grusing and Mr. Stout suggested much, much earlier when they asked you if this was an accident. Now it was an accident. Your Maria Sanchez personality shot Gannon by mistake because she thought he was an intruder in a cape. Multiple personalities is not credible in this setting, as regardless of how many personalities you have, you only have one body. I have presided over cases where a mental disease or defect prevented a defendant from remembering the course of events, including the commission of the crime. Without exception, those defendants have been terrified when contacted by law enforcement because there was a period of time in their lives that they could not account for. Their body may have sustained an injury, and they don't know how it happened. They may have some new object in their house or on their person, and they have no idea where they got it from. We all have free will, and we all make choices based on that free will. The people who suffer from the mental disorder you claim are terrified because their free will has been taken from them, and they are being subjected to things and experiences they don't understand and don't have any recollection of. You didn't behave anything like that.
Nope.
One of the purposes is to impose an appropriate sentence for the criminal conduct that occurred. Another purpose is to punish an offender by imposing a sentence that takes into account the seriousness of the offense. Yet another purpose of sentencing is to prevent crime and promote respect for the law by providing an effective deterrent to others likely to commit a similar offense. Anyone who's been in my courtroom before knows that I've said sentencings are the most difficult thing that I do. That's especially true in cases where someone has lost his or her life. Nothing I or the law can do will ever bring that person back. I have handled hundreds, if not thousands, of criminal cases over the years. I think at this point in my career, I've presided over something like 200 jury trials. I've sentenced hundreds more defendants pursuant to plea agreements. This is not the first murder case that has come before me. This is not the first case I have presided over which involves harm to a child. This is not the first case I have had where a person who was in an unhappy marriage committed a crime. Sadly, statistically, there is a high correlation between violent acts, including murders, and family members. I have had a number of cases which have demonstrated one person's capacity for cruelty toward another human being. I can, however, say without hesitation that the facts in this case are the most horrific I have ever seen.
Better judge.
Your conduct in this case deserves the maximum punishment that I can impose under Colorado law.
I love it. Get her.
As such, with respect to the charge of first-degree murder after deliberation, I remand you to the custody of the Colorado Department of Corrections for the remainder of your life with no possibility of parole. With respect to the charge of murder in the first degree of a child under 12 by a person in a position of trust, I remand you to the custody of Colorado Department of Corrections for the remainder of your life with no possibility of parole. Those two sentences will merge. If you have questions about that, you can ask your attorneys. With respect to the charge of tampering with a deceased human body, I'm also going to sentence you to 12 years, followed by a 3-year period of parole. That sentence is to be consecutive to the life sentences that I've already imposed. With respect to tampering with physical evidence, I'm going to impose an 18-month sentence. That sentence is also consecutive to the to the sentences for the murder charges that I have imposed. I also understand, with the consent of the prosecution, and I'm assuming no objection from the defense, that I will dismiss all the charges in 20 CR 3170, close that out, subject to restitution, give the people 49 days for restitution, 14 days for response, and if there's an issue, we will set it within the 90 days, from. I think that resolves all outstanding matters. Is there anything else that the prosecution wishes for me to address?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Defense? Court will be in recess.
Hell yeah. There you have it, folks. Hot plates of justice served by Judge Gregory Warner, guys. 100% the max that the law will allow. The max that the laws of Colorado will allow him to impose. And I love that he went down why he came to this conclusion in detail. He went over everything that stood out in this trial that point her out to be not someone who suffers from a mental health illness, but someone who is simply just an asshole. And I'm telling you, in the words of Quentin Tarantino, you only need to hang mean bastards, but mean bastards, you need to hang. Absolutely. That is exactly what happened here. Without a doubt, without a stutter, this dude sat up there and went through everything that showed her guilt. He went through everything. I mean, not even like just basically the stuff that stood out to him. The stuff that stood out to him. Like, dude, I saw your face. He didn't even point out the fact that she was flipping off her own daughter while she was on the stand. Even though he knows it happened, dude stuck to what was relevant to his sentencing. Period. We know that he was emotional. We know that he had feelings about let's just say he was impacted emotionally by the impact statements by Gannon's family and loved ones. And my man said, I need 10 minutes. And in 10 minutes, I'm coming back. and I'm going to impose my sentence. And I think he did it professionally, swiftly. And I don't think, if there's one word that I would leave out in describing this judge passing sentence or handling this trial, running his courtroom, but in running his courtroom and passing down his sentence, one word I would leave out to describe him most definitely is cold. This man was not cold at all. There was not one cold bone in his body throughout the entire presentation of what he was saying. He was empathetic towards everyone, including Letitia. But he didn't sugarcoat anything either. He saw that she absolutely had no remorse. None at all whatsoever. All right. I'll give one or two of you guys a chance to vent on here if you like. You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Oh, this is Amy. I'm in New Jersey. How are you doing?
I'm doing well,
This is
Amy.
my second time calling you. This is my second time calling you. I think that I just never saw anything. Those statements were just had such depth and breadth to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a mother, so it was just I couldn't imagine being up there if that happened to my child. And what the father said, he's totally absolved himself. He's going to need a lot of counseling and therapy. You can see the guilt that he had for even entrusting his son with that monster.
I'm glad you brought that up because, I noticed that there was a moment where he made it a point to say, it's not a jab at you, Landon, but it was to make the point to Letitia to shut her down, saying that she was the glue to held everything together, and she's the reason why Lena was living with him, and and those ins and outs of their relationship is none of our business. But
right.
It really, what that made me do, and thank you, Barbara Ogden, I appreciate that. What that made me think of was how petty people can be in their custody disagreements with with other parents, with each other.
Exactly.
What we take for granted when we have these custody fights, the things that are at stake that we don't realize are actually at stake.
I agree, but it's like it makes when you don't want people to be afraid to get married, but these are the cases that really color the world and color our opinions and what we want in our lives. Because I don't have anyone. I'm a single parent now, and it makes me not want anybody around her. I was always like that to begin with because I did case management, and as I'm a nurse, so I saw a lot of stuff, and so it really made me jaded about people and saw what I saw at working in a pediatric ward, and but you still you don't want to just shut the world off either because of these things, but it just was so heartbreaking. And
well, yeah,
and I just have to take my hat off to the judge because all I could say, and just the last thing I'll say, is that he tore her. He made her a new one, getting her ready for the prison that he's prepping her thing he tore up for her. If you understand what I mean. So he really read her the riot act. He's getting her. Let her get that in prison. Let's see what she's going to get now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is a guy who still, I mean, he didn't know her any explanation, and he knew what he was saying was going to fall on deaf ears, but you could hear his faith in humanity in the way that he worded his presentation to his sentencing. This is a guy who didn't care that his words were falling on deaf ears, that maybe she'll reflect on them one day. Maybe she'll change,
Yeah.
But
this is good. This is like, you were seeing these cases finally get the justice they deserve and not the wrong verdicts, so hopefully this is, will continue on with the other trials that are going to be coming up and that are about to be wrapped up, and so that the others can get justice as well. So, that's it. I'll have to say thanks for having called. I love it. I like this better than the StreamYard links because I hate to show my face.
you don't have to show your face in StreamYard either. I just don't like opening my panel anymore.
No, I don't
Yeah.
but this is better for me. I like calling better. All right. Have a good night. Thank you.
You too. Thanks for
Take
calling.
care now. Bye.
Yeah, this is exactly the outcome that I could have possibly hoped for. This is the outcome I've been hoping for since the trial started. You're on. Who am I speaking with?
It's Deep. Hey, how's it going?
I'm sorry, who is this?
It's Deep. I just
Oh, what's
wanted
up,
to
Deets?
say thank you so much for streaming this. I bounced around everywhere, giving likes to all those that were covering it and, would listen in various places. But when I wanted to chat, I came here to chat because you have the best chat ever.
Oh, thank you. I like your
so
chat
good.
too. I'm always in there, man. It's great too. Yeah.
But it was so great. Everybody's input here was so on point every day, and it was just so good. And I just wanted to thank you for covering it and adding in humor when we needed it, or annoying us with memes when we probably didn't need it. But thank you.
That means a lot. Thank you. Because I get worried because sometimes I deal with negative feelings with humor, and so I'm wondering am I being inappropriate? I don't know.
No.
But
And earlier, we're in this when we're dealing with listening to traumatic things, it's really nice to have that break. I think sometimes to, put our emotions back in check. Like earlier, Perfectly made a little joke, and I don't know if she meant for it to be funny, but it made me giggle in the midst of hearing all of this testimony. So I think I appreciate it. So I'm glad that the chat reflects you and your personality and the way it just helped everybody get through this, because it was an exhausting trial.
yeah, very much so. And it didn't even take as long as it was projected to take. So
I know, I was shocked.
yeah. So I'm really grateful for that. Now I can start, because I just can't. I can't do so. But I'm so interested in the Orrin and Orson West. I want them to get justice. I want I want to see justice happen for the victims in the God, man, my head is spinning right now. I'm thinking of the Vallow Daybell case.
Took it.
Yeah, I'm thinking, and I don't even know how to word it, but
the defense actually rested today in the West trial. So
I saw Mystery Maven's post on that. So yeah, so I'm really hoping, and yeah, Mystery Maven's been doing an excellent job. I mean, she's an attorney, so she's busy, but she's very, very invested in seeing this platform being used responsibly in covering these cases, and this community definitely needs a voice like hers. So
yes, he does such a great job. But I just wanted to hop up here. Thank you for covering the trial and everything that you did, and again, thank you to the chat, because that just keeps things going, and it makes everybody feel welcome and easier to get through.
No, and thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Means a lot. Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right, bye. Yeah, I'll probably do the I already forgot that crazy lady's name, man, the suitcase lady. Because I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't have any idea. I have no projections for that. I have absolutely no speculations on how that's gonna go. It's Sarah Boone. Thank you, Perfectly Imperfect, and everyone else. Yeah, the suitcase lady. I mean, what else is there, bro? The suitcase lady. Lady's out of it. You're on. Who am I speaking with?
I'm gonna try to be brave. It's Lex. Lex.
What's up, Lex Lux?
Hey, I just wanted to say thank you and thank you to your mods in chat too. True crime is hard, and being with you guys makes it so much more manageable.
Thank you. Yeah, and thanks for being here. I mean, it's it's hard to separate that uh, it's hard to draw that line between just being entertained and actually being people who want justice and want to acknowledge that these things are happening all the time. um these are yeah these are tough things to follow, man, especially when they're about kids. um
Yeah,
yeah
they really are, especially with kids, especially this case.
right.
Like she was a preemie, and my son was a preemie, nowhere tiny as he was, and every day for the first year of his life, we were in and out of hospitals. I barely slept, like maybe 3 hours, split up in two places, just so somebody was always holding him so he didn't aspirate, and just he's a little fighter, and just knowing how much Gannon fought, since he was first born, like his dad or his mom said, till the last day. That's horrible. And it's beautiful at the same time to see the strength that he had and how many people around the world loved him. And hopefully with this case, it protects further victims from getting away from this, because if it would have went the other way, I truly believe it would have been another excuse for people with mental problems to hurt other people.
Yeah, and you made a good point that so very few people with these mental issues actually hurt or kill anybody.
Right.
So it's a terrible excuse to use, because there are people out there who genuinely need help, and there are people out there with these mental health disorders who actually feel remorse. And I love, and I've said this so many times on this channel, I love when like educated people validate my shit that comes out of my face. And
Because
so
you
like
deserve
when
it. You're so educated.
when the
And
judge
you don't
said,
know
I'm
it.
not educated at all except by life, but when the judge was like when if you're going to use a multiple personality excuse, well then at some point we got to see Letitia, we got to see the loving caring mom, right? Where's that? We never saw that. That's why I was like, it's going to be easy for the jury to come back with a verdict, because if you're sitting here, I mean, it doesn't take a psychologist. If you're explaining to me that the symptoms of dissociative identity disorder is that one of the other personalities takes over, then the regular loving nurturing mom, that's got to show up at some point, right? Where's that at? Where'd that happen?
Right.
Never happened.
Never show up. Never.
Right. Thank you so much,
Yep.
Kim S. Appreciate that.
Well, anyways, thank you so much for everything you do, and hopefully you get a neti pot or something for your nose.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I've gone through this before. So whatever. I'm not ready to give up on it just yet, but I probably will and just end up breaking down and buying a new one because yeah. But luckily I'm actually not even craving coffee. I'm just in the habit of sipping on it while I'm live. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lex Lux.
I love you, chat. Bye.
Bye. All right, I'm going to take one more. I'll take one more call and then we'll call it an evening. Oh, neti pot. I don't know what neti pot is. I don't have any idea. You're on. Who am I speaking with?
You are speaking with Brother Preach.
Brother Preach. What's up, man? How you doing, dude?
I'm good. I heard you say you're going to take one more, so I took a shot at it.
I love it. Yeah, I'm glad it was you, my man. How are you doing?
I'm good. Luck is always highly favored, man. I love everything that you do, and I called to actually thank you for, putting my name out there, getting me subscribers. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem, dude. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna close out this live stream with your music because this is a celebration, and I think it's appropriate to have that celebratory music because your music's very positive, and I'm a big fan and I love it very much. So you guys need to subscribe to Brother Preach.
Yes. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Any thoughts on the trial? Anything you want to say as far as that goes?
The trial, I actually missed the last part of it, but my opinion on it is really, people should really be careful on families nowadays because there's a lot of mental health issues out there that I am aware of.
Right.
I'm even actually helping a family out myself, and it's crazy. The children actually now have mental health issues right now.
Wow.
And yeah, and the abuse and the mental abuse actually leads up to physical abuse. Even a lot of women, even the women that I speak to at times, they are willing to abandon their own children just because the amount of stress within the entire family, not just her, but the entire family.
Right.
So I'm not too shocked about the trial and about what happened to the young kid, and I'm actually really remorseful. I'm not even remorseful. Actually, really sad about him or what happened to him because he's not the only story I heard that happened to him.
Right.
At all. About several years ago, and I live in Connecticut. There was a father who actually fed his infant alcohol through the bottle and actually killed him.
Wow.
And another father actually he had mental issues, and he actually threw his toddler off the bridge.
Jesus.
Yeah, so it's not the only story I heard. It's a lot of mental health issues out there that the system is not even really aware of, and if they are aware of, they're not doing enough to actually, tackle it.
Right. Right.
So I
mean, this is a problem,
sad, but it's not unheard of.
Right. This is a bigger problem, which is why a lot of us follow true crime, because these things these are an issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is an ongoing issue. It's not just the ones that the press covers or whatnot. These things are
correct.
Yeah.
I definitely understand. Trust me, I do. It's you know how this country is. Whatever's really trending or popular or whatever they can want to control, put out there. That it's put out there. But behind the scenes, these are real things. These are real situations and real issues that happen on a daily basis, especially when it comes to children like him. I just watched a documentary. You ever remember? The young 8-year-old
Gabriel Fernandez, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm like, wow, that's one story that really, I heard that happen as well. It was a young girl that happened the same way. In order for her to survive, she was actually chewing on the door because they had her, I believe it was under the stairs. And the way that she survived was chewing on the door.
Yeah. I mean,
that's how she was getting her nutrition.
It
kills me. It really kills me, man.
Yeah. And that's one of those tough cases where the system truly failed. our kids, you know?
Yeah, they really did. I do my research, man. I do my research a lot. So I looked through how the system, really tackled that case, and it was really disappointing on how they failed it. They was even looking forward to prosecuting the child care services people that was on the case.
Right. Some of them
they
should
knew
be.
about it, but did nothing about it.
Yeah, some of them should be. I mean, because when it just boils down to it, it's just criminal.
Yeah. That's full blown neglect.
Right. It
On
is.
all sides, not just the parents, but the child services individuals as well. That was neglect. Your whole purpose of being in that position is to protect that child, and you did not. You ignored every single sign that was given and just shoved it under the carpet, hoping it. I guess I don't know what reason, but probably hoping for it to go away. But you literally neglected that child, and now look, he's gone.
Right.
And there's no bringing that child back at all. So in my opinion, yes, I think they deserve to have been prosecuted. I don't care what you say. You allowed that to happen. You ignored his safety. You ignored the fact that his life was in danger, and look what happened.
Right. And they're supposed to be the safety net. You know, when the parents fail, when the family fails and the kid doesn't have anybody, that's the system we're supposed to rely on, and they should be qualified, and they should be vetted, and they should be, held to the responsibility of doing their job.
Right.
I mean, they're supposed to be protecting our kids when there's nobody else to protect them.
That's true. And it's sad because that's happening throughout the entire country. There's cases out here, and again, speaking for Connecticut, because, that's where I'm residing right now. There's cases where if nobody is really paying attention or bringing it into social services. I mean, not social services, excuse me, I'm sorry. Bringing it into the media.
Right.
They would do exactly what they did, with Gabriel. Ignore.
Right.
Don't do anything. If nobody's really freaking putting them on, plastering them on the TV, they're not doing anything.
Right.
And that's happening continuously. And I'm not knocking the system. There is some systems around the country that do work and they do protect the children. But even though that this state, they actually are really, really strict when it comes to kids, the people that they got working in these cases are not as strict.
Right. No, they don't. It's just a job. Yeah. It's just a day. It's just another day at work for them,
Yeah.
And we need it to be more than that, we need them to think of this as more than that. Yeah. And it's just really sad that that's happening. We're seeing this with the Oakley Carlson case in Washington State.
Yep.
It's just really bad. And hopefully we find out what happened to Oakley. But these parents, I mean, they can only hold them in jail for so long for whatever. But, if they can't charge them with I mean, you can't charge them with murder when we don't actually know what happened to Oakley. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Of course, you got to do your investigation.
You got to be able to prove it in court.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to follow behind on what happened. And, that's something I learned to do myself. I need to know exactly what happened, how it led up to here. Like, my father is a wise man. He used to always tell me there's a beginning, middle, and end.
Right.
In the beginning is very important. The middle is definitely important. The end result is really up to the individuals.
Right.
That's how he always taught me. So I always do my investigation on everything. What happened, how it led to here. What's going on? Why wasn't this? Was this an ongoing issue? Was it handled? And if that's the case, if it was handled, how was it handled?
Right.
Why is it still going on, and how, and why it continuously kept going on, and the end result was this.
Right.
That's how the system should be going at it. They should have individuals that's dedicated, passionate about, doing things like that, making sure that kids are safe, minimize the bodies that are, numbering up the kids. And that's not happening.
Right.
Obviously, school shootings, situations like my young man right here, Gabriel, and the situation in Washington. What is going on within the system that these bodies, these young lives are piling up?
Right.
That was always my question. I'm like, what is going on? What are you guys doing? Why are there still shootings? Why is there unfit parents holding on to children? But you will, and you're speaking on is that this day, why is their parents getting stripped of their children that are fit? That just made a simple mistake that wasn't even really life-threatening.
Right.
Something's not right here. What's going on? What are the people that you're hiring? What systems are in place that you're placing that's allowing these situations to happen? Something's not adding up.
Right.
Something needs to be fixed. Something needs to be done, because these children are our futures. They should be high priority.
Right. I agree. I completely agree, man. Yeah, thank you for calling with your insight, man. That really means a lot. And it's good to finally talk to you on a side note. So thanks, man.
Of course, absolutely, man. It's great talking with you. I appreciate you accepting my call, and of course, and everything you else have done.
Right on, man. That means a lot. Thanks so much.
No problem, man. Take care.
All right. You have a good one.
Yeah.
All right. That was Brother Preach, man. He's been part of this, part of at least my community for a very, very long time. So it's really nice to talk to him. I love this opening of the phone lines thing, because I'm able to talk to you guys and people whose names I just see in chat. So putting voices to it is a nice thing. So I really appreciate you guys doing that. And Brother Preach expresses himself through music, celebrates life through music. And today we are celebrating a victory. We get to put this behind us finally. Letitia no longer has anything to celebrate. She no longer can victimize anyone. And we are in celebration mode for that, folks. Thank you guys for doing that here. Thanks for joining me and hanging out with me. It means a lot. I appreciate you guys. You guys are the best. I'm playing us out with some Brother Preach. I love you guys. We will do this again very soon, my friends.
That's my baby. My baby. She sets this room on fire. Yes, she does. Yeah. To yours truly, Brother Preach. See her right there? That's my girl. She makes me feel. She makes me feel. I don't know how else to say it, but say it like this. You make me feel so new. Man, the way you do it, I'm dancing the things you do. And I'm so love it, you make me feel so new. Man, the way you do it, I'm dancing the things you do. And I'm so love it, I love the way I feel. Yes, baby, I love it. Yes, baby, I love it. Man, I gotta tell you, I love the way I feel. Yes, baby, I love it. Yes, baby, I love it. Man, I gotta tell you, so sexy, so right. See the walk, watch you shift. So right, see the love, come on, give it. Bring the vibe, let's live it. I crave it, man. So the more we build, we're stronger. The vibe is good to last longer. Come on, baby, let's get crazy, get married, have a baby. Wanna know how you make me feel? Here, my lady. Keep going. got a hold of me. You don't know what you do to me. I want you to know you're a part of me. I'm so in love with you, girl. You make me feel so new. Man, the way you do it, I guess the things you do. And I'm so in love with you. Make me feel so new. Man, the way you do it, I guess the things you do. And I'm so in love with you. I love the way I feel. Yes, baby, I love it. Yes, baby, I love it. Man, I gotta tell you that I love the way I feel. Yes, baby, I love it. Yes, baby, I love it. Man, I gotta tell you that. Come on, babe, let's take a ride. Yeah. Just trust, you'll be alright. Yeah. It's the place, let's chill. Yeah. This vibe is so real. Take your hand and tell you how much you mean to me. Confess my heart to bring the real out genuinely. Slow the pull of rain out, watch the eyes sparkle. Hear the joyful shout and the legs crumble. Even though at times our bond humbles, Christ kept us good, had bad troubles. Take this as a promise to be faithful. Pop the question without sounding too humble. Yeah. Dance to the things you do. The things you do. You make me feel so low. Yeah. I dance to the things you do. Cause I love the way I feel. Love the way you make me feel. Yes, baby. I love it. Yes, baby. I love it. Man, I gotta tell you that. I love the way I feel. The way I feel. Cause yes, baby. I love it so much. I love it. Man, I gotta tell you that. I love the way I feel. Dedicated to my queen. Yes, baby. Love you, baby. Yes, baby. I love it. Love the way you make me feel. No critical, busy, baby. Brother preach.